What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Monster Hunter World Iceborne video. In this video, let's talk Alatreon. I first fought Alatreon back in Monster Hunter 3 and I'm happy they brought it back for anyone who hasn't fought it yet. And for those of you who jumped to Monster Hunter games for the first time with World, this will be your first time fighting a black dragon. Now, if you don't know what a black dragon is, a black dragon in Monster Hunter World, and I believe in the world of gaming in general, are dragons that are very sacred and wield very destructive, unusual, and disturbing powers that often have the ability to wipe out everything in their vicinity. And they did a good job letting you know that this is a black dragon with how difficult this fight is. It can be very frustrating at first, but what I found is that the more knowledge you have about this fight, the easier it becomes. And I'm going to give you some tips, things that I learned during the many hours and the many failed attempts of fighting this thing. So, the first thing that I will talk about is what items to bring. You want to bring Astera Jerky and Dust of Life. You will need these things whenever it does its ultimate attack. You can easily recover the damage by using Astera Jerky and Dust of Life to also help your teammates. Grouping up and using a health booster will help during this time also. Next, if you don't have blight resistance, bring nullberries. However, I highly recommend blight resistance. Next, some of the armor skills that I recommend is speed eating and, as mentioned before, blight resistance. Speed eating is effective against Alatreon's relentless attacks. You must do enough elemental DPS to this monster before it gets to the ultimate attack, and spending less time healing will be beneficial. Same with blight resistance. Spending less time trying to get blights off you will be beneficial. If you get hit, you can just worry about healing and not healing and removing blights. Next, bring an elemental weapon. I was surprised at the number of people who didn't do this. You will not beat this monster if all of you do not have an elemental weapon, because again, if you don't do enough elemental weapon to the monster before it gets to the ultimate attack, it will guarantee to wipe your whole squad. At the canteen, eat for feline insurance or safeguard. Elemental resistance if you already know someone who have ate for these things. Once you have all this, you are ready to go. Now, let's talk about the actual fight. The goal here is to break the horns and do enough elemental damage to suppress its ultimate attack so you can take less damage and survive it. There are 3 small walls that you can wall slam the monster into. Wait until it becomes dragon active before slamming into one of these walls, because it will make it easier to break the horns. Once it does, I highly recommend trying to lure the monster into one of these areas. As of right now, I believe breaking the horns simply damages it and stops it from shifting to one of its elemental actives, which right now that is ice. This may be the reason why fire weapons may not be efficient if the monster starts off fire active. Ice may be the way to go since it does the most damage to it when it becomes fire active. Fire does the most damage to it when it becomes ice active, but breaking the horns prevents it from going to that active. This will change in the future. There will be times where it will start off ice active, and my speculation will be that during that time, breaking the horns will stop it from becoming fire active. If I'm correct, then fire weapons will become more effective there. You can flash this monster out of the air if it's not angry. I would recommend bringing your temporal mantle and using it when it becomes dragon active so you can become immune to the damage while you attempt to get the wall slam. Anyone who has a weapon that can soften hide should try to keep at least the head and arms softened. If you can get the tail softened too, that would be good for any gunners and bows, since their weak points is the head and the tail. If you can study its attacks long enough, you will see some openings between its attacks where you can go in for a softening, like its thunder attack where the bolts come down at random spots. I found that grappling onto the tail at the right moment allows you to avoid that attack altogether and allows you to get a soften off before it finishes. But I believe that just about covers this fight. Other than those things, this fight just takes patience and timing. The more you fight it, the more you will become aware of its attack patterns. Then you will learn when to attack, when not to attack, and how to avoid its attacks. Then once you get to a point where you and your team knows how to do enough elemental damage to avoid the ultimate attack, you will defeat this monster in no time. But that's just about all for me, guys. What I'm gonna do here is show off the armor and skills and how each weapon looks. Then if you're interested in seeing my full fight, I will put that in a separate video and put the link below. But that is all for me, guys. Hopefully this video helps you out. If you enjoyed the video, then a like would be much appreciated. Comment down below if you have any questions. And be sure to subscribe if you have not done so for more videos that I have coming along the way. And make sure you hit the notification button to get notified for whenever I post. But that is all for me, guys. I'm out of here. I'm Shadow Hollow, signing out, and I will see you guys in the next video.